Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of the new album from The Ghost Inside, titled The Ghost Inside. Alright guys, Ghost Inside dropped an album. They actually dropped this album last week. We didn't get a chance to review it last week, but we're gonna do it this time. We don't know anything about this band other than a few cool kind of hot facts about the band. We've never really heard them though. We do know that they were in a big accident, unfortunately, about 5 years ago. Some people died. The drummer lost a leg, or at least part of his leg. It was a big, huge, messy thing. This is their comeback album from that accident. So that alone is pretty cool that they've emerged kind of like Phoenix out of the ashes and produced this album. So I'm excited to hear it for that reason alone. Aside from that, they actually just fired their bass player because of some racial slurs that he uttered a few years ago that resurfaced, and with all the stuff going on, he was let go of the band, understandably. So this band has kind of been in the news a lot. They kind of had, you know, ups and downs as a band. I know they're metalcore, but like I said, we've never really heard them. This is going to be an introduction for us, so I'm hoping that I like it.
Yeah, I mean, same goes for me. I mean, metalcore, we'll see where it goes. And with that being said, we're going to check out the Ghost Inside self-titled album for the very first time in its entirety. Stay put.
Alright guys, we're back. We just listened to the Ghost Inside in its entirety, and I'll say that the album started off pretty strong. Track number 1 starts off with this really cool drum intro. Crushing guitars, it's heavy, it's mean, I'm into it. Track number 2 kicks on, Still Alive. I'm also into it. It's angry, it's pissed off. It's just what I'm looking for from a band like this. It's got grooves, it's got some gang vocals, which is not bad, really cool breakdown. I like the riffs, some cool rhythm, drum patterns, and so forth. Then it kind of just starts repeating itself from that point on. Every song is doing the same, very formulated, very kind of standardized patterns, same time signatures, breakdown placements. There's slightly different things here and there. Clean vocals get introduced in track 5. I didn't like them, not because they were clean, but because I thought they were mixed a little bad. Basically because there was cleans and harshes at the same time, kind of supposed to be harmonizing, but I felt more like they were competing, which is not something you want to hear, but that is fixed later on in the song called One Choice, which is track number 8, where they do a similar thing, but it's mixed much better, where the harsh vocals is more subtle in the background and the cleans are more prominent in the foreground. I like that much more. I like that much more than when they have both volume levels of the vocals at kind of the same level. To me, they're just, like I said, they're drowning each other out, kind of like they're competing with each other. Wasn't feeling that.
There was a lot better of an example of that though in the second last song called Begin Again. That has the layering of harsh and cleans with similar like volumes, but it works out better. In track 5, like an overexposure, it was just, I remember we heard it for the first time and Vile cringed so much at it.
Yeah.
And it just sounds really awkward. But the more you listen to that song, the more you kind of adapt to it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, you can adapt to it. I mean, and again, this is a first listen. Like, I've heard the song one time, right? So listening to it again, I might go, hey, what was I thinking that first time? This is actually really nice, you know? Who knows? Stuff like that happens quite often when you're listening to music. But overall, though, the album started off strong and just tapered off quite harshly for me. I really don't know what to say about it. The last few songs basically all felt like the same song to me, except for maybe song 7, which was kind of like a cool down song, as we like to put it, where it was a lot more kind of slow and mellow, and it does build up, you know, it's basically a kind of a slow build up intro, and then it kind of gets heavier, but still not as heavy as the rest of the tracks. But other than that, I don't know, man. There was a bass slide in the last song. That was cool, which was pretty cool. So that was kind of one thing that added some flavor that I felt was lacking through the second half of the album. Breakdowns are nice throughout the album, but everything's very formulated for me, and I did not like that.
Yeah, I had a similar experience when listening to this album for the first time, but for me, it was track 6, which is called Make or Break, that really kind of was the tip of the iceberg for me in terms of how original this album felt to itself. It felt like that song onward, things started to get really repetitive. But before that, I still found some freshness, especially in track 4, which is called Pressure Point, which is my highlight of the album. It has the absolute best breakdown on the entire album. It is disgusting, and I love it. It had a really interesting build-up to it. A lot of metalcore build-ups are very obvious with what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have like, they're hitting a bunch of shots. You can hear the guitar in the background, you hear the singer or whatever screaming something. In this song, it's a lot longer of a build-up, and it at first does not seem like a build-up to a breakdown, because it's like, where are they going from here? What kind of bridge is this? But then as it goes, you start to realize, oh, they're building up a lot. And does it pay off? Yes, it does, in dividends, because...
Yeah. And very low guitars.
Another point about Pressure Point is that the vocals are very hardcore. The song is a lot more quote-unquote like in a hardcore style than other songs. You have kind of a very brooding and walking motion with the rhythm, but the vocals are also, singing in eighth notes, kind of transitioning from a transitioning from a talk into a scream. You hear a lot of things like that in bands like Hatebreed, so I found that also pretty unique for the song. So that's kind of really the main standout thing I noticed from this album. Everything else blended together a lot, but I can't say I really disliked it, because overall it's a good sound.
Yeah.
Overall, the mix is also good. I like how the kick has a lot of presence to it. It's very thick and very poignant, and the bass is very noticeable. And when you have stuff like that, you create a large atmosphere, especially for something as angry sounding as this.
Yeah.
So I felt that overall this album has some, is good, but it kind of is struggling, at least from my first impression, it's kind of struggling to stay original to itself.
Yeah, one thing you also mentioned during the listening session, and I do agree with this, is that it almost sounds like I can't remember how you worded it, a poor man's ABR or poor man's In Flames.
Kind of, yeah. There were moments where I'm like, it's like I said. Well, what I said was like boneless ABR, boneless In Flames, because there's points where I'm like getting elements of those bands. I'm like, this kind of sounds like a discount ABR, discounting. But I even mentioned Thy Art Is Murder in my notes as well, and that
early on,
comes from the vocals. Like at first I heard it, I'm like, this sounds a lot like Thy Art vocals.
That was like either the intro track.
It was literally the intro track.
Yeah.
1333.
The album starts off a lot angrier than it finishes, and I wish it does. I wish it did upheld that anger throughout the whole album. I think it would have been a lot more entertaining for us.
It could have at least, kind of played around with that more. Instead of starting angry and finishing more melodic and softer, mix it in instead of pretty much just having your two halves. I honestly felt the first half of the album was a lot stronger than the second half.
Yeah, I feel the same. And you know what? We're going to listen to it all week long, and we're going to see how our feelings change, if they change throughout the week. But that's it for this video, guys. So leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys think of this album. If you guys are fans of this band, that's another thing. We have 0 points of reference. We have no idea if this is a step up from their older stuff, a step down, or if this is right in line with what they've always done. So you guys can let us know in the comments down below. That's it from us. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.